we're on to lesson 1. So let me say this. Lesson 0 is going to be the place to hang our hat. What I mean by that is every time we're going to learn something new, we're going to relate it back to one of those problems, and we're going to hang our understanding. I guess a better way to say that is it's a place to start climbing, right? So as a rock climber, I'm not one, but you try to look for little places to put your hand so you go from one place to the next. We are always going to come back to the basics when we're climbing up this mountain. So every single lesson from this point forward is to give consciousness and content and context to the fundamental problems in linear algebra, to really get deep in that. With that said, lesson 1 and 2 gives us language to understand the function interpretation. And I guess there's multiple ways to think about that, of our fundamental problems. So you might call this 1, 2a, 2b, 3, and 4. So this is the matrix vector multiplication problem, non-singular linear systems problems, general linear systems problems, full rank least squares problem, and eigenvalue problem. The whole concept of lesson 1 and 2 is to get us familiar with some of the terminology that we need in set theory to intelligently speak about domain, codomain, and all the kind of nuances behind those subjects. Remember, our function f of x equal a times x. Okay, how big was a in general? M by n. How big was x? N by 1. This function, oh, sorry about that, April. I was listening, and I'll get there. Okay, all right, yeah, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. I'll get there. Has the following properties. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? I want you to sing that to yourself and see that stupid face of mine in your sleep. And then I want you to pay for a therapist to try to remove it. All right, where did you come from? What's the input? Rn. That's your domain. And we're actually going to call this, it's also the domain space. Don't worry, we're going to get into this. What about where did you go? Rm. That's your codomain, not your range. This is definitely not the range. These words are weighted. They have very, very special mathematical meaning. You know where we're going to learn that meaning? Lesson 2. But in order to understand what those meanings are, I need you to understand set theory. Let me ask you this. Did we design this class with Math 22 as a prerequisite? That was dumb. That's a stupid thing. That's like saying we should teach you how to run, but you've never walked. Or we should teach you integration without differentiation. But it is a fact of life, so we're going to survive through it. Lesson 1 is going to give a primer on set theory. It's going to give us all the notation so that when we start studying set theoretic definition of functions and we develop the concept of what a domain and a domain space and a codomain and a range, we can do that using the language of set theory.